What's up, guys? Here with you, FC Wonderkid, episode 127. Here with my guy, Breton. How are you?
From 3,000 miles away, I am doing A-OK, Alex. We've got our first Euro qualifiers. We are getting closer to major international tournaments. And while most people are always like, international break, get me back to club break, I don't know. It was kind of nice. It's been nice so far, right? These have been relatively good games. And you've got to be pretty happy, right, Alex?
No,
We've got...
Yeah.
Who?
We're through.
Who's
we're through. Portugal's through. France through. Belgium through. And obviously Germany through because they are the host nation in this World Cup. And German fans should be happy too. So don't forget to like this video because there's a lot of happy topics in it. Remontadas and yes, you mentioned France. I want to say France first because Kylian Mbappé right now is the best player in the world in international football. No doubt in my mind. When he kicks in for l'équipe de France, he is the leader, he is the captain, and what a golazo against Holland. That was unreal to see. Unreal.
Absolutely. Bart Verbruggen, it was his debut for the Netherlands, and he found out the hard way that Kylian Mbappé is still on top, you're right, when it comes to international football. And a firm reminder that France is going nowhere. France is definitely a favorite for Euro 2024 in Germany. And at the time of doing this, that brace versus Netherlands, right? That puts Kylian Mbappé where? On the all-time Les Bleus list of goal scorers. He surpasses Michel Platini, and he is now the fourth all-time in French history, which, considering how good the last 20, 30 years has been for French football, that's pretty dang good at the age of 24.
Unreal. He's going to be the number one. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed with this pace. And 12 of those goals were scored in the World Cup. So Mbappé, when it comes to the biggest stage, Mbappé turns up, and that's why everybody wants to see him at Real Madrid. But France scored 13 goals. They suffered only one goal. That, for me, is the unreal stat. In a group with Greece, with the Netherlands, with Ireland that has Evan Ferguson, they only conceded one goal. Unreal defense. Konate, Saliba, Upamecano, Lucas Hernandez, Mike Maignan. So many options this French national team has in defense, and Chouameni at CDM. And obviously 5 clean sheets too. 5 clean sheets.
And thank you. Yeah, you didn't throw him in. You definitely wanted to feature Aurélien Tchouameni, but Aurélien Tchouameni, I thought, was an absolute beast, or has been an absolute beast for them through qualifying. And I also don't think he gets enough credit for what he's been doing for Real Madrid. He remains unbeaten in all competitive matches so far this year for Real Madrid and the French national team. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It very simply put, I mean, if a master of deduction here.
Top 5 CDM in the world right now.
And a master of deduction here, I don't think that's a coincidence. I mean, the guy, he definitely knows what he's doing. But he was an absolute beast, and it's great to see. So while all the plaudits should be on Mbappé for that win over Netherlands, obviously Aurélien Tchouameni is right next to them. But the Netherlands, in and of themselves, they're growing, right? And we had some debuts that I was very, very happy to see. Jeremy Frimpong. How did he not have a debut for the Dutch just yet? And then you have Bart Verbruggen in goal. But more specifically, I think the one that kind of impressed on the day was definitely Mickey van de Ven. I think he came on as a sub, but we all got to see his recovery speed. We got to see a little bit of what we've been seeing for Spurs next to Coutinho Romero. So they've still just 2-1 loss is pretty dang good. I still think they're going to be one of the. They still have to qualify.
Do you consider Netherlands a contender to win the Euros?
No, but I'd say a dark horse. I'd give them dark horse status. I'd say if everything goes right, if they mature at the right time, I think they're up there with like a Spain.
Do you put Belgium ahead? Do you put Belgium ahead of the Netherlands?
Ooh, are we segueing? Because Romelu Lukaku says yes.
So, but do you say yes?
I mean, at this time, I would probably have to say yes. I think there's still enough of that core.
I
There's
don't
still
know.
enough of that core of that Belgian team. There's still muscle memory of that Belgian team.
No
And
Frankie
Romelu
De Jong.
Lukaku.
No Frankie De
No, yeah,
Jong. I think that
true,
could be.
true,
I
true.
think that's the detrimental factor that can distinguish both. But you could say in Belgium, no Courtois too.
No,
So,
and no,
but
and no De Bruyne.
and no.
No De Bruyne either.
True, 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 true. But I just,
So
but the De Bruyne factor, I think Tedesco, I don't want to say that Belgium looked better without Courtois and De Bruyne because that is false argument. But I'm going to say that for Lukaku, for Tedesco, for the Belgium group, maybe it was better to have Courtois a bit out of the atmosphere in the locker room. There was big problems after the World Cup of the captaincy when Hazard left. No Hazard, De Bruyne, Courtois, there was problems in that locker room. And I don't know exactly what was it, but the truth is right now, Belgium only drew one of their games to go to the Euros. They won every single game, but like they drew one game against Austria at home, but away 3-2 win. Belgium looked magnificent, and Lukaku 9 goals. He's going to be the top goal scorer of the Euro qualifying. And it's nice to see that Lukaku gets the deserved recognition. And Tedesco says he's the glue of the national team, the player that makes the cohesion happen. So it's good to see Lukaku being spoken upon in a bright way, you know. So and I think Mourinho will help that during the season.
Yeah, because that's 10 goals in his last 7 caps, and you're right. I mean, 9 goals in Euro qualifying. You're absolutely right that he will be top scorer, but he's also added 7 goals and 8 for AS Roma this season. So Romelu Lukaku very clearly has come into this season with a chip on his shoulder. And you know what? At 30 years old, hard to believe, right? Hard to believe.
It's true.
Still remember him coming through at Anderlecht. But at 30 years old, he's like, I'm not done yet. And at some point, I mean, hold on. He has not yet been offloaded officially, correct, from Chelsea.
It's true. He's on loan. Because look at that fee.
Look at that fee exactly. You know that's not one you just like sweep under the rug. Could Romelu Lukaku be the answer at the 9 in the future for Chelsea?
I think it's Osimhen. I think it's Osimhen, and I think Todd Boehly will pay up for Osimhen. I have a feeling.
Okay.
Or Sesko.
All right.
Or Sesko, because Sesko did score a big brace. You never know. But I just wanted to say on Belgium, I'm really happy, and I wanted to say to the announcers, people that are not here in Portugal, I'm going to start commentating games on Sport TV, and I had the luckiness or the luck to comment. My first game ever was Austria against Belgium, and I can say this: I commentated the first game in Portugal of Arthur Vermeuren for the Belgium national team. And if you don't know Arthur Vermeuren, you might as well know right now. He's one of the best Wonderkids, under 19 in the world right now. Under 20 is bold, but I might say that. 2 assists against Shakhtar, 3rd youngest ever in Champions League history, and he was brought in a 3-2 situation when Belgium had one less player, in a situation that they had to retain the ball. So Tedesco trusts Arthur Vermeuren at 18 years old. And we have Doku, Bakayoko. You have Mandela Keita, also a really good wonder kid. Debast. And Zinu Van Husten of the captain right now, Standard Liège, that was bought from Inter. Okay, Inter did a great move right there too. So pay attention to this Belgium national team with Wonderkids. And there's others.
Right, and
Lavia wasn't there. Yes,
Right.
Van der Troet, the goalkeeper, wasn't there. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And you love Duranville. You really like him too.
Oh yeah. He was just named in that Guardian top 60. We haven't seen too much of him for Dortmund this season, but yeah, no, Belgium, I wouldn't say it's a next golden generation, but they've certainly got enough to I don't know about win an international competition. Especially a major one like Euro, but they certainly still have that blend of veteran and new that could go far. And Jeremy Doku, which you got to watch, you got to commentate on. I mean, 11 dribbles completed, which so far I think is the most in all of Euro qualifiers, the most of anybody in Euro qualifiers. He's also, I think he's played like 2 full less games than everybody in the qualifiers, and he is still leading by a lot in terms of dribbles completed, total dribbles completed.
It was his third
so
start.
Jeremy Doku.
Third start.
And It's crazy. That's crazy. And we know this. Like you and I have said this for years and years and years. He just needs to be healthy.
It's
He
true.
just needs to be healthy. And I know that's easy to say about everybody but Doku's biggest issue had been his frailty. And that's mean to say. Frailty is not the right word,
No, he's
but his
strong.
inability to stay healthy. So it's great to see him humming along. And honestly, if you've got Doku, if you've got Bakayoko, if you've got Vermeer and with another year under his belt, if you've got Lukaku still putting goals in, De Bruyne playing a role, big role probably. I mean, this is a team that you have to watch out for.
Fuck.
Because it's a blend of muscle memory. These guys know what they're doing, and really good young upstarts that I think we're onto something here. But we'll
It's
see.
only the
We'll see.
goalkeeper. Like Martin van der Voort, it's big questions on him if he can go
Yes.
and get to the Courtois level of goalkeeping. But like in terms of like the bust, Bakayoko, Doku, like we said, Doku. This is the exciting thing about Doku. Doku was one of the best players in that Belgium game next to Lukaku, and Doku is at Man City. He's in the best team right now to develop with the best manager in the world next to Guardiola, next to Haaland. So it's safe to say that Doku is going to be a top 3 player for the Belgian national team in the next 5 years if there's no injuries. So Belgium, Arthur Van Maren too. If he goes to the right team, I might put him in that top 3 too. And that is bold considering the Courtois, De Bruyne, all of them are there too. And Lukaku obviously being the star of the show. But yes, we mentioned France, Belgium. Now I think we should mention a bit of Portugal because we did.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing Portugal going at qualifying to the Euros or the World Cup. But the Euros in this case without any drama, no shock, no Ronaldo needing to go bold against Sweden, against like an Ibrahimovic like we saw in the past. Now it was no dramas. We got 7 wins in a row with Roberto Martinez. And to be fair, I'm not going to say he needs to do that, but we do have one of the strongest Portuguese national teams I've ever seen in my life. We have Gonçalo Ramos that has 7 goals scored. Like, we have Cristiano Ronaldo that at 38, he's playing pretty good. He was key in that game. And then João Felix, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Dias. Like, the collection of talents, we're lucky. But I have still the doubt to see Portugal against the biggest teams in the world. And I hope, before the Euros, we get big tests, big friendlies, so this team gets climatized towards high pressure, high intensity, and obviously together going against adversity. Okay, they need strong adversity to improve. So Portugal, they did what they got to do. 7 wins, only 2 goals suffered. 2. That's pretty nice when Diogo Costa, Antonio Silva, Gonçalo Inácio, young players are playing for our team. So Roberto Martinez, good job, and keep going bold because we're contenders to win the Euros.
Yeah, and I love hearing everything that you're saying there. You're absolutely right. I mean, it was the reality of what needed to happen, and Portugal passed with flying colors. I mean, you guys destroyed that game. Destroyed that group, I should say, or are destroying that group. Even though that Slovakia, whatever, the end made it look a little more interesting than it actually was. You found a way to get Ronaldo and Gonçalo Ramos on the field together.
Exactly.
Hey, I like that. You know, that's nice to see. And Gonçalo Ramos is now up to what? 7 goals, 2 assists, and 9 caps so far for
Exactly.
Portugal. But I'm with you. You need stiffer tests, and you probably need them before you get to Germany, before that 2024 Euro commences, because I hate to say this. It's almost like, you need a punch in the mouth, right? You need to lose. You need to feel like, okay, where are our weaknesses, if there are any? Where are our weaknesses? Because you're absolutely right. Portugal is one of the strongest and deepest teams heading in to this Euro. While a lot can change in a year, it's so encouraging that it almost feels like, what's up? What's up right now?
No, I get
What's
you.
happening?
I get you. And for Roberto Martinez, the best answer he can have possibly is after that golden generation of Belgium not winning a trophy, being the first in the FIFA ranking for so long. The best answer for Roberto Martinez is no losses, no draws, only wins for Portugal until the final of the Euros. That would 100% be a huge statement. And Roberto Martinez will almost be like the Joaquin Löw of international teams. Because Joaquin Löw, after the Germany job, where is Joaquin Löw? Where's Joaquin Love? So Roberto
Mm-hmm.
Martinez could make his biggest statement with the Portuguese national team after failing with Belgium. Because yes, he did have a good third place, but not too much. Not too much
Yeah.
with Hazard, with Courtois, with De Bruyne in their primes, with Lukaku. Terrific team. That was a terrific team.
Yeah.
But
If Roberto,
uh,
yeah, moving on.
moving on from the big contenders. This is a
Yeah.
talk that it might be a big contender that Germany are the hosts of the Euros. But Germany knew they had to do something, and sacking Hansi Flick and making Julian Nagelsmann their head coach was the best decision they could do. Because Hansi Flick was not playing Jamal Musiala with Florian Wirtz, or at least I hadn't seen it in a competitive game, only in friendlies. So
Right.
that was good to see, and I think Nagelsmann is fresh environment now in this locker room, and they needed that because it wasn't working out with Flick.
Yeah.
And Hummels is
was,
back.
And Hummels is back, apparently. No, it was not working out with Flick at all. That's probably an understatement. But no, Nagelsmann, listen, it was against the USA.
Yes.
It was against our A team. We were missing Tyler Adams. Might have been missing maybe one or two more. But when it comes down to it, we went up first on a beautiful Christian Pulisic goal. But in that second half, Germany outplayed us. Germany exposed our manager, Greg Berhalter, for probably what he is, which is a middle manager. And when it comes down to it, Germany showed that they've got ridiculous promise. Gundogan, Wirtz, Musiala, I mean, they're just scary and ridiculous to contain in any capacity. And our guys, our center backs in particular, were flailing and unfortunately failed in that. But they look good. And hey, a win's a win, and that's something you want to take to the next one. And it's just going to be weird for them because it's going to be friendlies from here on out, right?
It's true.
So just like you guys, right, with you at least have competitive games that mean something, although they'll mean a little bit less now that you've already qualified. Yeah, exactly. Now that you've already qualified with games left. Germany, though, will have Mexico coming up. They'll have Austria coming up. I believe the Nations League, they'll have Nations League competition. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how much they grow from now until the summer. But Germany, generally in Germany, is very good. And we know that they've got certain parts. It's just whether or not they can put them all together. And I think Nagelsmann can probably do it. I mean, the dude's, I don't know.
Look, Nagelsmann is a genius. Nagelsmann for what he's done at Hoffenheim, at Bayern Munich, at such a young age, he is a genius. And now for the German national team, we might see a genius play, okay? Because in terms of players, world-class players, Germany does have Kimmich, does have Rudiger, does have Ter Stegen, that is world-class, and Sané. Pay attention to Sané at Bayern Munich. He gets a lot of hate for no reason. He's balling out at Bayern Munich this season, and Jamal Musiala, obviously, can be world-class in the Euros too. Florian Wirtz, Gundogan captain. I love to see Gundogan captain. He deserves that credit when he is one of the leaders too of this German national team with the experience he had at City and now at Barca, bringing it too. So there's a lot of positives. Even Mukoko for the under-21s, that was good to see too. So I think this German national team has promising players. They just need to invest in the right players. It's underrated the fact that a German national team can have a positive effect for a young player to then play in the club level. Look at what happened at Thomas Müller. Thomas Müller got more respect for the national team than at club first. After what he did for the competitions, international competitions for Germany, like Bayern Munich automatically was like, okay, this guy's too good. This guy's too good. It was like confirmation bias. So it could be that confirmation for Wirtz. It could be a confirmation for not Musiala, but it was in the last World Cup. So I want to see this Nagelsmann German national team empowering the youth that I think it will be doing. No more Reus in the future, maybe. So yeah, that's what it is.
That is what it is. It's hard. It's really hard to believe. Nagelsmann is still 36 years old, and I know it doesn't feel like he's been around
Tedesco
too
38.
long, and I get it. It's crazy.
Oh, my days.
These managerial wonder kids, man. I mean, I'm not gonna share my age, but let's just say, woo, that is pretty amazing to be doing what they're doing at
But
36
it's
years
a
old,
career
38 years old.
choice that is bold. If you
Yeah.
see like the
Yeah.
career choices of Nagelsmann and Tedesco, being young, Nagelsmann 36, Tedesco 38, to go to international football, I respect that. It's a big responsibility and an honor to represent big national teams with the history that they have, especially Germany. They are World Cup winners. So
Yeah.
it's
Oof.
let's wait and see to see if he can fix things. But Germany, before Nagelsmann had arrived, they were at 3 losses in a row. And now they were losing against you guys, okay? Christian Pulisic, you were hyped about that one. And it was a
What a
comeback
goal.
win. Comeback win,
It was.
3-1 win. So they showed resilience, and that is a positive note. So let's see what Mexico and in the future, what will happen. And Fulkrug too. Is he Fulkrug that type of player for the national team? He's a consistent starter, and everybody's there's better players.
Of course, but if there's Wirtz and there's Musiala around you, Fulkrug's going to get his opportunities, and he did. But it was Serginho Dest keeping him on side, so that was kind of that was a game of two halves for the U.S. There was good things, there was bad things, but that second half, Germany killed us. And they deservedly did. So stinks for us to see because we thought maybe this would be different the second time. But we're not talking about the U.S. right now. We can cover them a little bit later. We got to stay in Europe, Alex, because Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're on course to qualify, right? But can they ever do it without self-inflicted drama?
No, I don't think Italy are a contender to win the Euros. That can be a bold take. I think France, Portugal, even Belgium with Tedesco, and Netherlands too. That's not the best team. I think they're all ahead. And obviously England with Southgate, that I don't think he's the best manager. I really think Italy, poor decisions. If they do anything, it's Spalletti. It's Spalletti.
Yeah. That's true. And I think Spalletti's first point of order, which has been great, has been to reintegrate and actually start Domenico Berardi. Okay? Domenico Berardi has 83 goal involvements, Alex, in his last 89 Serie A starts. He has 107 goal involvements, to expand it further, in his last 118 Serie A starts. So it's not surprising. Yes, it was Malta, but it's not surprising that he goes in there, he gets it done. There's no drama from him, even when the drama is off the field, because so Domenico Berardi, I'm gonna say this right now. If they're going to do anything in Europe and in the Euro 2024, because I believe they'll qualify, it'll be okay. But in 15 starts for the Azzurri, he has 8 goals, 2 assists. Just start the man. Just put him on the field. Put him on the field. I get it's all paper. I get it's all statistics. But Domenico Berardi has been doing it for Sassuolo. Yes. He can do it for the Azzurri as well. And obviously with the other pieces that are provided, right? Chiesa and wonderful players that Spalletti has at his disposal. They could actually be a team to watch. But yes, I just think Berardi deserves his day of praise. Whatever. He got Malta off their backs and maybe got the headlines a little less sour about what's happening. And for those that don't know what's happening, unfortunately, there's a little bit of there's a betting investigation right now that is unfortunately entrapped Nicolo Fagioli from Juve and 2 that had to leave the Azzurri camp, that Spalletti allowed to leave the Azzurri camp, in Sandro Tonali, and why am I forgetting the other one?
Nicolo Zaniolo. Nicolo
Zaniolo
that leaves Roma to join Galatasaray and then going to Aston Villa. That is playing beautiful football. But yes, you mentioned Berardi and you mentioned the betting scandal. Look, I don't want to say it's just a conspiracy right here, people. But come on, how hasn't Berardi left Sassuolo? Okay, he must be betting that he's not leaving. Yeah. I have no idea how has he not been snatched up, because he's a Sassuolo legend, no doubt, and everyone that follows Serie A is like Berardi. And there was I think it was shared in the past, like they have that shared 50-50 rights until a given point in the Serie A. And yes,
Yeah.
Sassuolo, I think, had the highest bid, and they kept Berardi. I just can't remember the other team, but put down below, people, if you remember the other team. I don't know if it was Inter or Juve, but Juve were always interested in Berardi. Always interested in Berardi, and Chiesa isn't delivering. And I share your thoughts too, saying if Italy are going to surprise the world in the Euros, it's with Berardi, and maybe not with Chiesa. But Chiesa needs to deliver like he did in the last Euros, because he was the best player of Italy. That was unreal. And maybe not Spinazzola, but Udogi. Udogi, okay? That will be a positive thing. And Frattesi, I like seeing Frattesi. Frattesi that left Sassuolo, and he's gone to the right team, which is Inter. Inter seem to be a team now in Serie A that seem to be the stable team and having a really positive effect in this Italian national team. Di Marco, Bastoni, Barella, and now Frattesi too. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Inter core, and it's almost like, why isn't Lautaro Italian? Why isn't Lautaro Italian? But for Argentina, play Alvarez ahead of Lautaro. So that's all I gotta say.
You know who's been very good, who actually is Italian now? Matteo Retegui.
Yes.
And I haven't really talked too much about him, but he obviously has made the jump back to Serie A. I believe he's at Genoa, and he's been scoring some goals here. So I think he'll be in Spalletti's plans moving forward. I think Spalletti would be absolutely smart to make him a key player on this team.
It'll just striker. It's a bold striker.
It'll just be whether or not.
24.
But at the very least, an Argentinian born, if I'm not mistaken.
12 million it cost Genova. It cost Genova 12 million. So he's nationality Italian right now. So he is anchor play. That's what SofaScore is at least saying. So people, pay attention to this kid. It seems like he could make a big move. He's tall, 186 centimeters. So Retegui, I like it. Good shout.
Maybe give the Azzurri a striker that they haven't had in
Francesco Camarda.
years.
Francesco Camarda, 15 years old, people. Look, honestly, I've said in the past in podcasts, he's one of the brightest 15-year-old talents in the world, no doubt. And I've spoken to some people at AC Milan that say that. So it's a big praise. Big praise.
It's a huge praise. Well, who else are we praising here? Because while Italy's good, I don't know if I'd put them in the dark horse.
No, they're contenders. Yeah.
Round.
I'd say Italy's like Spain.
Contenders?
I think Italy's like Spain right now. Spain, they had a good game against Scotland, but they were lucky that goal didn't count of Scott McTominay, okay? That would have changed the whole course of the game. And I think it was a dubious decision, okay? Scott McTominay, if you don't see that free kick, was one of the best goals Scott McTominay scored in his life, but it was VAR. VAR decision.
But listen, hey, Scotland looked good.
Yeah,
I mean, they contended.
I think
for many people,
it's like Austria. Scotland, Austria, Serbia, Hungary. I think they're all in the same level. They can surprise. Nope.
They can. Yeah, they can. But I think the surprise is gone after qualifying, and when people can actually prepare for you, like in Euro 2024, it's going to be very, very different. But it was very nice. We also saw for Spain.
You could prepare for Morocco. You could prepare for Morocco in the World Cup, and Morocco still surprised the world, Preston.
True.
I get you, but it's like, look, if Hungary go out of the go out of the group stage in the Euros, I think the world will start perceiving Dominic Szoboszlai, Milos Kerkez in a different way, and I would love to see that. Because I think Szoboszlai was one of the best buys this summer, not just in the Premier League. I think overall he's going to cement himself as one of the best players in Liverpool in his 3-5 years. Alisson, Salah, Szoboszlai.
As we're talking about you mentioned Morocco. I mean, there's a difference in confederations there, right?
Yes.
The African nations are not necessarily as well scouted, well analyzed as somebody you're playing, routinely on the European continent. But listen, you just mentioned Szoboszlai and Hungary. One, I don't know what's going on with Serbia again. I think most Serbians don't know what's going on with Serbia again, but it feels like Pixi is lost. He's lost tactically. Once again, doesn't know how to use the weapons he has. Or here's the counterpoint. Maybe Hungary's just really good.
Hungary's really good, I think.
Yeah, because this is not once, this is twice. Home and away, Hungary has beaten Serbia.
Exactly.
And when it comes down to it, this time, Soboslai was certainly present. He was certainly one of the better players on the field. But this time, they've got, let's see, who are the other ones here? We've got Loic Nagel. We've got
Willie
Roland
Orban.
Salai. We've got, Willie Orban back at center back. But the biggest one you have to look out for is kind of this, but he didn't play. But their striker, Barnabas Varga. Okay, I believe he's 29 years old. I don't think he's been playing too much for Hungary, but he has scored not just against Serbia. This time he scored the last time, and he's got, I think, a goal in each of his 3 competitive caps for Hungary, right? His last 3 competitive caps for Hungary. And on top of that, already for Ferenc, how do you say it? Ferencváros?
Ferencváros?
Am I saying it correctly?
I think
so. He's got 24 goal involvements, 17 goals, 7 assists in 17 games this season already. All right, so this big striker up top for them, obviously it's a product of having a guy like Soboslai behind you. But when it comes down to it, Hungary is a team. I'm excited to see Hungary. One, top this group, and top this group, and go do what you're gonna do at the Euros. So. It's gonna be great.
I think it's really. I really think it's the Szoboszlai effect. Ever since Szoboszlai became the star of Hungary, they are becoming a great team. And considering they're in a group with Serbia and Montenegro, but more Serbia obviously because of their strongest side, they're in first, and it's fantastic to see. So they're unbeaten in 5 games. They've got 4 wins and 1 draw. So keep on going, Hungary.
and people can help me out with the names, but there are 1 or 2 Hungarian Wonderkids that are coming through that may or may not have similar effects that Soboslai did. But I believe one is at Liefering right now, and the other one is still he's killing it in the Hungarian league and will likely make a move beyond. I believe that is Zoltan Vangsa, or maybe he's the one in Belgium. But when it comes down to it, there are more behind this. I think I think we can almost come out and say that this might be Hungary's start of a golden generation. We'll see.
Puskás, big respect to Puskás to make that happen. The Puskás Academy. Honestly, if they're delivering with great coaches for the youth in Hungary. Because I've spoken to 1 or 2, and they say the Puskás Academy is teaching like 50 coaches, like in a top level. So it's great to see, like yearly, you're influencing the youth of Hungary. So keep on going, Puskás and Szoboszlai. That's the legacy that you have to chase. Quite a difficult one, but legacy chasing. In South America, there's a legacy that's just starting. And this is a big legacy that we might be just seeing. The youngest player to ever play in South American World Cup qualifying games. He's going to Chelsea. No, Kendry Paez, the youngest player to ever play in World Cup qualifying in South America. Remember the name, okay, people? He's the youngest to score, and he is vital now for Ecuador if you saw those last 2 games. He was the difference, and Mojes Caicedo, Hincapi, Kendry Paez now. This is the golden generation of Ecuador starting before our eyes.
And just like we said with Hungary, there are more behind them as well. Ecuador has actually never been, left for want when it comes to really good prospect. It's always been about making that next step. And that'll be the key with Kendry Paez, right? When he gets to Stamford Bridge, whether he hits the ground running. But there is no doubt he is probably, this might be controversial. I mean, would you say he is the best teenage prospect in all of South America? Or is it still Hendrik?
Hendrik. I think Hendrik, or teenager. Vitor Huck is still a teenager. He's 19.
That's true. Oh, that's cheating. But yeah, that's true. But listen, Kendry Paez, I mean, he doesn't turn 17 for another 7 months. So what he's currently doing now for a very strong Ecuadorian team.
That's true.
A very strong Ecuadorian team. This Ecuadorian team, they're unbeaten, right? So far, or no, they had one loss and then they've won the last two.
They're unbeaten
I
with
forget.
him. Ecuador's
Okay,
unbeaten
there
with
you
Henry Paez.
There you go. But a goal and assist in his first 2 Ecuadorian caps. He's already having a central role for one of the more progressive teams in South America, in Independiente del Valle. And on top of that, it's great to see Moises Caicedo around him also balling out in ways that well, it's not that we haven't seen it before, but we haven't seen it necessarily yet for Chelsea, although he is certainly coming up for Chelsea. But he's got 3 assists already, Moises Caicedo, for Ecuador, and he's also, Alex, an Independiente del Valle product. So all the love to Independiente del Valle, who unfortunately will probably never have a full academy from here on out because everybody will be plucking them left and right the moment they get good, and hopefully they can make some money off it in the process and expand it.
And Hincapie too, that is at Bayer Leverkusen. Like, he's a center back that's gonna make a big move. I really believe that. We should do a center back list of like that are gonna be a big move, because like I just reminded myself we missed out on Kevin Danso and Samson Baidu having both playing together for Danzu was replaced by Baidu for the Austrian national team. So that's a good mention. That's an interesting one. Yeah, first caps in this first caps in this international break, like with Artur Vermaelen, with Kendry Paez. Like, you got a great list. That's a great list of players right now. Unreal.
So many. And even outside of that, Victor Boniface, he didn't score in his first game, but he at least played his first game for Nigeria. I believe so. I believe so. I mean, and that we already mentioned that we mentioned Jeremy Frimpong, Van Verbruggen, but we can post it. I'll post that in the comments, or I'll post it on our FC Wonderkid YouTube activity because it was a great list, and almost every one of those that we put on the list that was set for their potential first cap, almost every one of them got it. So it's really fun times. You're going to see new stars minted right in front of our eyes.
The throne's vacant right now. I agree with Guti. He said the throne's vacant right now in the world of football at the Ballon d'Or with no Messi and Ronaldo, and it's only Jude Bellingham that has realized that. And Mbappé playing for France.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody else? I'm looking at Argentina. Okay, I don't think too much needs to be said here, but I had a realization that I probably shared this with you before, and I don't know, maybe I just forget. But, Emiliano Martinez is not young. Okay? He's not young, right? And he's only been the starting goalkeeper for, I don't know, maybe like a little under 2 years for Argentina, which is kind of bonkers to think about. But he just set the record. Okay, he just set the record, Emiliano Martinez, for the most scoreless minutes, or the most clean sheet minutes in a row. That is still ongoing for an Argentinian keeper in their history, which kind of says something considering how amazing Argentina's history is. So we're talking about 622 minutes, and he has only been the starting goalkeeper since June 2021 at the age of 28, and he has literally lost, Alex, one game in all of those 33 caps that he's got for them. And do you know what game that was? Because I'm sure you do.
Saudi Arabia.
You got it.
That
So
game was
the only
what a memory. What a memory.
Crazy. That's probably why Messi didn't go to Saudi Arabia. He's still bitter.
Look, no, he's not going on loan. I don't believe that's the case. But yeah, man, that's and to believe that leading up to the World Cup too, like that Argentinian national team was like unbeaten almost 2 years. Something ridiculous like that, like 30 games in a row. And it's because of experienced players. It's obviously Lionel Messi, the biggest factor of this Argentina winning team with Finalissima, Copa America, World Cup. But I'm going to say the experience behind him. Otamendi, Di Maria that I see at Benfica, still seeking titles here in Portugal. I respect that hugely. And Emiliano Martinez, that he's not young and he's proving a lot of people right. And at Aston Villa too. Like Unai Emery, what a team he's got there. Like some underrated players. Moussa Diaby, Ollie Watkins extending. Pay attention to Aston Villa the next 3 years. That is.
Yeah, and you, yeah,
That's.
and just one other thing, just because at some point there will be Leo Messi hanging
Mm-hmm.
up his boots. It has been nice to see Julian Alvarez taking the lead, and
Well
I
said.
think will Julian Alvarez be Messi? No, nobody
No.
can be Messi when it comes down to it. But will Julian Alvarez help to ensure that the Argentine attack is as potent as it once was, or will currently is, I guess you could say, with Messi still there, or when Messi is gone? Yeah, I think he can. I think he has shown glimpses of
Mm-hmm.
that, and I don't think while we talk about him a lot, it's really hard until he gets that every day, every day, every day, doing it in all competitions. He's already won Pep Guardiola over, so
I
we know
think so.
something's going right,
I
and
think
I think he can
Julian.
do it with Argentina too.
I think Julian
Yeah,
Alvarez in the next 3 years or next 5 years, if no injuries occur, he's going to be one of the best
yeah,
forwards in the world. It's not. He can play
yeah,
striker. He can play behind the striker. He can play with Haaland at the same time. But obviously, yeah, Haaland gets so much attention that when Julian Alvarez is vital, Haaland has to need to overthrow him. And that
yeah.
competitiveness inside the Man City team, I think Guardiola appreciates a lot. And I agree with you, Breton. I think the best player of Argentina is up for grabs when Messi's gone. And Julian Alvarez is in pole position to be that guy because he's scoring the goals that need to be scored when Messi's not there, and he's the star of the team. The way he presses off ball, what a player. What a player. So this is a start
Absolutely.
of one of the best strikers that we're going to see in the next generation if there's no injuries once again. And even Enzo
It's true.
Fernandez. That and
Mm.
you have a lot of players like Garnacho in the back seats. You have other Argentinians that Nicolas Paz that is at Real Madrid. Tony Kroos has even said, "How is this guy not in the first team of Real Madrid week in week out?" So I'm hyped up
Yeah.
to see all these
Oh,
Argentinians coming up too.
and
So and
the two
Prestiani,
y-
Prestiani too.
yeah, Prestiani, and the other one listed there who hasn't broken through at River yet is also one you've got to watch, and that's Claudio Echeverri. He was listed in that Guardian top 60, and
Mm-hmm.
he's only got, I think, 4 appearances, but he is just as much a wizard on the ball.
Oof.
Maybe not as much as Prestiani, but he's more behind, so
Look
he'll
at the
be kind of
scoop.
a cam
Look
like.
at
So
the
very,
scoop you're
very good.
getting at FC Wonderkid
It,
podcast. That is
it's
young.
great.
That is young.
Yeah,
That's
but
Kendrick Paez type scoop.
well, listen, hey, and when we're talking about all these scoops and everything, and we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
all these new players, there are some players that just never want to leave the limelight. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it great to see James Rodriguez turn back the clock
It's
this
true.
past weekend?
Playing
It
striker?
was great to see that.
What?
Yeah. And technically, I mean, Colombia is technically unbeaten since March 2022.
Mm-hmm.
They won their last 2 World Cup qualifiers before Qatar started.
Mm-hmm.
But I just
No,
it,
it's
it was
true.
they're the only ones to have beaten Japan relatively recently. They've beaten Mexico. They've beaten Germany. Yes, it's been in all friendlies. But Colombia's cooking something. It's just really nice to see James involved. He was at Olympiacos, and now I'm forgetting which he's at Sao Paulo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sao
He's in
Paulo.
São Paulo.
Yeah,
São Paulo right now.
yeah.
Like Dimitri
Sao Paulo.
Payet, one of those moves that I was like, what? Going to Vasco da
Yeah.
Gama? I was like, Rames going to São Paulo? What? I understand Lucas Moura. But Rames?
Yeah.
Like, because Lucas
Yeah.
was a former homegrown player. So, like, but yeah, going with what you said about Colombia, pay attention to Colombia because look at this run of games. 2-0 win against Paraguay. 0-0 against US. South Korea 2-2. Then they go to Japan. They beat them away 2-1.
Yep.
Then Colombia beats Iraq 1-0. Then away to Germany 2-0. So Hansi Flick didn't like that at all. So then you have
No.
CONMEBOL. Colombia beats Venezuela 1-0. Colombia drew. That's a draw against Chile and another draw against Uruguay. That is a tough team with Marcelo Bielsa and Darwin there too. 2-2 draw. So they're unbeaten right now for a long stretch of games. This is like more than 8 games. So keep on going, Colombia, with a player like James that he wants to make history for the national team, and he's already done with the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful goals I've ever seen in World Cup history. James Rodriguez.
Yes.
Like
I
that
was
beautiful.
I was in a Colombian bar in Washington D.C. During that game and during that goal,
Oh
and
my
that was the
days, man.
best. That was literally the best experience I ever had. Sitting at the bar, just awestruck by these Colombian fans that were screaming at the top of their lungs the national anthem,
Oh,
crying during the game, like during the actual action in absolute agony over what was going to happen. And then that goal happened.
yep.
It was absolutely insane. So it's
And
hard. I'm actually, I don't know if you see me right now, but I'm actually wearing a Colombia jersey.
oh my days, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
so
that.
it-
Oh my days,
yeah,
man. Oh,
it's
that's
pretty
funny.
awesome, but it was heartbreaking for them because qualifying they
Mhm.
missed out, right? Sixth place 2022, and while
No.
you want to see Colombia do well,
Mhm.
CONMEBOL qualifying is, I'm not going to say easy, but qualifying for the World Cup should be pretty standard from here on out,
Well, it became
because now
easier.
now we're extended. We have a massive World Cup, 48 teams in 2026,
Darn.
and you've
More
got
games.
that sixth spot is now an automatic qualifier. So the one that missed them, the 2022 World Cup, will now get them in if they finish sixth again. And on top of that, the seventh spot, there's only 10 teams in South America. The seventh spot is a playoff that can get you in the back door. So literally 65-70% of all of CONMEBOL will make it every World Cup from here on
That's
out.
mad.
So that gets rid of that.
That's mad.
It
And
is.
just going with Colombia. Colombia has
Yep.
James Rodriguez as the star of the team. Now, for years, he's been that guy. Ever since Falcao was even sharing the throne with him. But now this Colombian national team has some underrated ballers. And I want to give special attention to Uribe, that was at Porto last season. Yerimina, that for Colombia is just a different type player. Santiago
Yes.
Arias, that at Eredivisie, pay special attention to him. And Luis Sinisterra, that can be a player that one-on-one can make a lot of highlights. So pay it. And
Hey.
Daniel Munoz, também. It's a good player too. So
Hey,
good team.
but you got to shout out Davinson Sanchez too. He was much maligned
Yes.
when he left Spurs, right? To the point where he was getting booed, and it wasn't a pretty sight leaving Spurs. But he has found new life in Turkey. He's been playing very, very well for a very good side at Galatasaray. So I hope it leads to more success for him. He deserves it. Do you remember him? I remember him coming in at Ajax, Davinson Sanchez, and just
remember.
impressing the crap out of people. And we thought that Spurs move was going to be the biggest slam dunk ever. And boy,
Well, he
Boy, was
needed
I
a
wrong.
Postecoglou. Like Mickey van de Ven now, he's really happy. Like for Mickey van de
probably
Ven,
right.
good news. But for David Sanchez and Eric Dyer, very bad news. But I
Bad.
agree with you. I agree with you that was a distinguished move. But with any last mentions you want to do in the podcast, Bretson, here? Like,
Ooh, well,
deserves to be mentioned. Not a Mukoko under 21.
I think you gotta mention Benjamin Sesko, right? You mentioned him a little bit earlier, but he
Briefly.
had 2 goals versus Finland. This kid's only 20 years old, and there's a reason why he is drawing minor comparisons to Erling Haaland. But for Slovenia, he is already at 20 years old, probably one of the top 2, top 3 most influential Slovenian players ever, and
Fucked.
there's literally no reason in my mind that he does not become number 1 and become number 1 soon. He has 5 goal involvements in just his last 2 Euro qualifiers. He's got 8 goal involvements in his last 8 caps for his country. And he's got 8 goals in his last 11 competitive matches for Slovenia. And on top of that, he's already found his feet for RB Leipzig. So I just love this player. And I really feel like Slovenia will qualify. And Slovenia, it'll be fun to watch him against,
This is
some bigger defenses.
So you
some
have
bigger
Slovenia
defenses.
with Benjamin Sesko as the big star. You have Hungary with Dominik Szoboszlai as the big star. They gotta say thank you. They gotta say thank you to Red Bull Group. And even the Netherlands now with Xavi Simons balling out. And he's at RB Leipzig on loan now. So the Red Bull Group is having such a big influence in football and Formula 1 with Max Verstappen. He wanted to. But in football, they're one of the engines of the Wonderkids. And that's good to see. That's good to see. And Sesko too, he's nominated for the Golden Boy. And I just wanted to say the Golden Boy, who's going to win it? No doubt in my mind, it's Jude Bellingham. And Jude Bellingham's going to win the Golden Boy this season. And the next season, he must be in the top 5 of the Ballon d'Or if he keeps up this form. Like, imagine if we see the first season without Messi in the Ballon d'Or. Like, we see the top three. Haaland. The first season without Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, together, because Ronaldo is not in this Ballon d'Or too. But imagine this new Ballon d'Or top three with Kylian Mbappé, Erling Haaland, and Jude Bellingham. It's like trust the youth. Now's the moment. The present and future in full display. And a player like Xavi Simons must believe in himself that he can be in that conversation. A player like Rafael Leão must believe in himself that he can be in that conversation. And even a U.S. kid like a Gio Reyna, please get it right and start to believe that you can be in that conversation too. So I'm excited for football now. But you agree with me that Bellingham's going to win the Golden Boy?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to think otherwise. Although Jamal Musiala put in a Balde is great, but no, this is not going to be a three-peat for Barcelona. This is got Jude Bellingham written all over it, and Jamal Musiala in my opinion second.
Jamal Musiala, it's crazy to think that England had Jude Bellingham and Jamal Musiala representing them in the youth national teams. So the fact that they were representing England at 15, and they're not there now, shows massive problems. Bellingham is there, but Musiala isn't. My days.
Well, listen, this is we've got another round of games coming up. I'm sure we'll be talking about that. We've got Premier League returning next week. All the leagues returning next week. So a lot of football ahead. But Alex, I'm not gonna say we lost a legend, but a legend did retire.
Yes.
And it almost would be remiss of us to not at least mention it on here. So Eden Hazard, one of the best wingers of all time in Premier League history.
Definitely.
Showed Lille they could, win Ligue again when he was very, very young. Came in at 16 years old under Rudy Garcia at Lille, and they won the league. This is not the Lille team that had Victor Osimhen and Timothy Weah. This is the Lille team led by Eden Hazard, who was not even 19, 20 years old. And then some of the goals he scored at Chelsea still to this day are some of my favorite goals of at least the last several decades. I mean, they're so good. I'm the one versus Liverpool. We can't go through them and play by play. Just look up Eden Hazard. Pour one out for him. Do yourself a favor. Go watch a couple comps of him, because my goodness, in his prime, that man could play. And at 32, hopefully he's got a next chapter.
He could have a next chapter, and it's good to see. I think Eden Hazard, once he understood he would never be at that level ever again, he said, look, enough is enough. The tape speaks for itself. I am a top 10 player in this generation. I can rest. And I understand that feeling, because for Belgium, he didn't deliver, okay, with the World Cup and the Euros. And look at this. He retires after he wins the Champions League with Real Madrid. So I feel that people often remember and say, he won the Champions League with Chelsea, but that's not true. He won it with Real Madrid, which it's an interesting fact. And to see that he actually had not the best time at Real, but he managed to get a trophy like that and be in an environment that he will be remembered in the future. But obviously, yes, Chelsea and Lille Hazard, that was unreal scenes. And I remember that there was a big talk, and to sign Eden Hazard when he was at Lille was such a big transfer talk at that time, with no Fabrizio Romano. And people were saying Man City, Man United, and then it was Chelsea. Chelsea signed Hazard, and they did a good choice, because that is one of the biggest legends of Chelsea history.
Yeah, with Hazard, they won, 2 Premier Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues, an FA Cup, a League Cup with him. I mean, it was pretty good times.
The 2018 season was unreal. I think he had 18 goals scored. I think he became one of the few players in Premier League history, Hazard, to have more than 15 goals and more than 15 assists in the same season in the Premier League. Cantona, Matt Laetitia, Henry, I think they're in that talk too. So Hazard is one of the greatest players in the Premier League, no doubt. So, people, let us know. What have we missed in episode 127? Comment down below. What do you agree? What do you disagree? And what would you like to see in FC Wonderkid episode 128? Don't forget, please, to like this video if you're listening until now. And don't forget to go bold, community. Thank you for listening. Until now, another week, people. Have a nice one, people.